You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
You are listening to The Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 24th show. I am flying solo today. You can also listen to our podcast, Facebook premiere show, or you can catch our show on our YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on any of my upcoming events, please go to tinamitchellevents.com, and would love to spend some time with you in my events. I am your host, Tina Mitchell. We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We are here to answer any questions, or more importantly, to connect you with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Steve Dashiak of Washington Law Firm, a glimpse in the mind of a personal injury attorney right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Steve, really excited to showcase a little more about your business and what you do. So thank you again for being here on our virtual show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yay. So let's go ahead and start out. What's the most common mistake that you see people make before being in a collision?
So what I see most commonly is people have inadequate insurance coverage. The average person is going to get into 3 or 4 collisions in their lifetime. And there's just too many people that rely on the assumption that they have full coverage. I've met plenty of people that think full coverage just means liability, or that it just means liability plus collision. This should be mandated by the state. Everyone needs PIP. Everyone needs collision coverage. Everyone needs uninsured coverage, UIM. The worst calls I take are the ones where someone is extremely hurt and they don't have enough vehicle insurance, they don't have enough health insurance to make sure their bills are paid. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and insurance is so important. And because I'm in the mortgage industry, and just as you are connected in your community, I am as well. And so, I hear a lot of this where people are under insured in a lot of cases. You need to have umbrella policy. You need to make sure if you have a business, you have your business protected. You need to make sure if you're out there driving that you have all of the things that Steve is talking about. So really connecting with your insurance provider on an annual basis and just kind of reviewing and seeing what's going on to make sure that you have the appropriate coverage. And the reason I say on an annual basis is because things change in our life and they can change quite frequently. And so really making sure that you're touching base with all of the experts that you have on your personal finance and insurance team to make sure that you are not in a position to where you get a collision and have a conversation with Steve and find out that there's some challenges there that need to be addressed. So Steve, what is the most important thing that you wish people would address after being in a collision?
I wish more people would focus more intelligently on their treatment. It's really a pain in the butt to be injured and still have to work full time, or still have to go to school full time, or still have to work and be a parent. So there are plenty of people that just go for a month or two and they stop when they're still in pain. That is very inadvisable, because once you're done treating, there is a presumption that you're healed. Because if you're hurt, you should treat. Almost everyone is entitled to treat until they're in the exact same condition physically as they were before the accident. If they can't come back to that state, they're almost certainly entitled to compensation for a permanent injury. But in order to do that, you have to treat. You have to treat until you get better. A lot of people, as we were talking about earlier, think there are no options to treat, and that plays into it. But there are options to treat even if you think you can't pay for it. I just wish people knew that.
Yeah, and so if you're listening to the show today and you know anybody that's been involved in a collision and doesn't have the appropriate insurance and is afraid because they don't have the money to pay for the treatment up front, as we talked about in our panel conversation, Steve goes that extra mile to really take care of his clients and to make sure that he has the resources and the connections that you need to where you can go in and get that treatment and it doesn't have to be paid up front. So there's always options. You just need to find the right experts that have enough passion in their business that they're looking to get everything that people need. So yeah, treatment is really important, making sure you stick with it. I know you might say life is busy and you think that you're okay. Life is going to get really busy when you find out that you're not in the healthy spot that you were prior to your collision. So play on the cautious side for sure with that. So Steve, what's a case that you're most proud of and why?
So this is a recent case I just arbitrated. There's a few factors that made it complicated. One, it was a very low speed collision. It was something like 3 or 4 miles an hour. There was a very large initial gap in treatment from the time of the collision to the time that he first saw a provider. It was, I think, 9 weeks, 10 weeks. And he had a huge list of pre-existing permanent physical conditions. And any one of these by themselves, it is a hurdle when you're negotiating. If you have 2 of them, usually it means you have to litigate. And if you have 3 of these, then it makes it a difficult win. It's a difficult case. And in addition to that, the client, he didn't really come across credible. He didn't necessarily take the process as seriously as he could have, despite just thorough preparation. But for better or for worse, this is the guy I want to help. He's got the basics of a good case, and he may not be the ideal client, but he is going to get taken advantage of seriously if he doesn't have some help. And some clients can be difficult to work with. There's 4 mountains essentially that you need to climb. You've got to prove the injury. You've got to prove liability. You've got to prove the damages that the injury caused, and then you have to climb the client. And oftentimes the client is the hardest mountain to climb. Well, anyway, I just got finished with the arbitration for his case, and I got over 20 times what the offer was before we filed suit.
Wow. Congratulations, Steve, for you and for your client.
Yeah, it was, he deserves it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And yeah, and if you're hiring an expert, follow what their lead and their direction is, so that you can make sure that you are getting the best of whatever it is that you need in product and service, because that's why you've hired them. So Steve, that was great in the end, even with the challenge of getting him on board, doing what he needs to do, that you were able to have such a successful outcome. So Steve, what is the hardest part of your job?
Hardest part of my job is seeing people shoot their claims in the foot. As we were talking about before, too many people just don't have adequate insurance to get the treatment they need. I've spoken to a lot of people that their life would be in a very different place if they had adequate UIM coverage, PIP, collision coverage. I think everyone needs a minimum of 100, 300 UIM and 35K PIP. If there were just a handful of people, if they just had that, their lives would be in a completely different place. I can do a lot to undo dents that are put into a case, but if there's no pockets to pay, and it's a tough deal.
Make sure that you are appropriately insured. That's what I'm hearing from my conversation with you today. Please, so if you're listening today, call your insurance agent, make sure that you are properly insured. Steve, what about your favorite part of your job?
So my favorite part of the job is making connections with other attorneys and medical providers that can tell that I really care about my clients. And I gotta say, it's really nice to be able to have a chiropractor or a physical therapist or a physiatrist with their cell phone number in my phone that I can text at any time, that I can a little bit more efficiently help people get what they need to do in order to treat and get better.
Yeah, again, as we talked in the panel, being a connector, that is the magic sauce. That's how you best serve your clients, because we represent one thing, but there's a group of people, and no matter what you're doing, that it takes to have a successful outcome. So make sure that when you're hiring a professional, that they have those connections that you need. What about the most fulfilling part of your job, Steve?
I really like it when when I'm able to make someone feel heard, when I'm able to get their human story out there to an arbitrator or a jury. And with that in mind, it gives them at least some closure, no matter what the result is, knowing that we did get the best result because we told their story. And I would say second thing is just constantly improving. It's really fulfilling to think that I'm better than I was a month ago, and in a month from now I'll be better still. It's a constant process, and I'm probably like supercharging the process by spending maybe a little bit too much time learning, but still I feel like it's very fulfilling. It gives me purpose.
Yeah, definitely. I do affirmations every morning that I scream at the top of my lungs to the Rocky theme song. But I also write affirmations. And one of the affirmations that's not in my voice out loud is that I'm going to be a little bit better than I was today, I would be a little bit better today than I was yesterday. So if you can have the intent to be just a little bit better today than you were yesterday, by the end of that 30 days, you're 30 days better with those little things each time. So yes, leveling up is definitely what it's all about in being successful in business. And if you're successful in business, then you can really support more people. You can have a better quality of life for you, your family, and be able to contribute more to your community. And that's what life is all about. So it sounds weird to say 2022. I can't believe that we're almost getting close to that. But what is your biggest goal for next year, 2022?
So I've been very fortunate in the last couple of years to join a couple of trial lawyer groups. And I've just managed to get a hold of a significant amount of extremely valuable mentors that are also great people. Like they're excellent at what they do, and they've made me better. I want to try a case with one of them, or multiple of them. I really would like the chance to show them, what they've helped me become. And I think that would be really nice. It's I don't know. It's kind of my primary goal for the next year, or at least 2022. Looking forward to it.
That is great. It feels so good for somebody to be able to show that what you've done, you've made a difference in their life, because then they're making a higher difference in someone else's life as well. It's great for us to be able to share that with somebody that's made that difference. So what a beautiful goal. So we have less than a minute left, but I do want to ask you quickly is what should you do if you are hurt in an accident?
Okay. All right. Call 911. See if you can get an officer to come out and create a police report. Get the other driver's contact info. If you can, get witness contact info if there's one around, or if you have a loved one that's there in the scene with you. See if you can take photos of both cars as well as the scene. Seek medical treatment. Call your PCP, your primary care provider. Go to an urgent care, go to an ER and get checked out. It just helps start the documentation of the process and show that you were hurt. And last, call and talk to an attorney so they can evaluate your case and see what your rights are, see what they can do to help. By an attorney, I mean specifically me.
Wonderful, Steve. And if you want to get connected with Steve, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online to themoneyhour.com. Steve, it was a real pleasure to have you on our virtual studio for your first visit. We look forward to having you back again in the future.
Yeah, it was great. I love being here. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Steve.